Welcome to this hands-on tutorial where we're finally saying goodbye to Google Forms and stepping things up by building our own custom data entry form right here in Excel. You'll be creating a form that not only lets users insert records, but also keep a running list of all the entries like a mini database fully built by you. We are going to use a lot of concepts that we've already covered, such as formatting, text functions, macros, and we're going to be learning about locking cells and protecting your workbooks. By the end of this, you'll have a fully functional, user-friendly form that is entirely made in Excel. No need for third-party tools, no more jumping between apps, just powerful, smart spreadsheets created by you. Let's build something awesome. So let's suppose the data I'm collecting is for a tech seminar. And I've got basic information like first and last name, the title, the entry time, the staff ID, department, and so forth. And I would like a listing of who is going to be attending my seminar. I'm going to start by formatting this to look a little bit nicer. I am going to make all of this in the color green, and I'm going to align my text so that it is a little bit more centered. I'm going to make it a little bit more bigger, Control B to bold it, maybe a little bit more bigger, and you can format this as you wish. I'm also going to be inserting a picture here, so I'm going to go to Insert, Illustrations, under Pictures, Place Over Cell, from this device. I'm going to go to my desktop, insert a picture of Ninja, put it right over here. So the formatting is looking better already. And now let's adjust my form so that users know exactly where they need to fill in their names. I'm going to adjust the width, and I'm going to fix the alignment one more time. I'm going to hit Control because I'm selecting non-adjacent cells, and I'm going to fill them in with the color gray, and I'm going to add borders. And then I'm going to copy my selection from here, paste it here, hit Escape to deselect, and I'm going to also copy the formatting from column B to column F using the Format Painter. Perfect. Now one last thing I want to do is bold this selection and bold this one as well. Now for the entry time, instead of allowing them to put in a value, I want them to put in the morning option or the nighttime option. So I'm going to get rid of this box, and then I'm going to go to the Developer tab. I am going to insert from the Form Controls the option button, and I need two of those. So the first option is going to be morning. I'm just hitting delete, morning, and I'm going to click outside. But I also need to expand my box so that it shows the option morning. And then I'm going to hit Control D to copy it. And I'm going to edit morning to evening. And then I'm going to select both of those by using the Control key. And I'm going to go to Align. And I'm going to align them to the top. Okay, nice. Now for the dietary restrictions, I need a drop-down menu, and I'm not going to complicate things. I'm just going to put in yes or no. So I'm going to select the cell, I'm going to go to data, and then I'm going to go to data validation. So to allow, I'm not going to say any value, actually I want a list. A list that either says yes or no, and then I'm going to hit OK. So now you see we have this drop-down menu, and we have the yes or no option. Now what we can do is actually copy this cell and paste it for both the meal and the drink. Do they want to drink? Yes or no. Do they want a meal? Yes or no. And if there are any dietary restrictions. Now I know I said I don't want to complicate things, but in case they have dietary restrictions, in other words, if they select yes, I would like more details. So in this box, I'm going to insert an if statement. Whereas if C11 is equals to yes, then I'm going to display the message contact info at excelninja.com. Otherwise, I'm going to just leave this as blank and I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to test this. Let's say this is a yes, then it's going to say contact info excelninja.com. If this is a no, nothing is displayed. I'm actually going to edit this message to make it look more professional, and I think it's done. Now I'm going to bold it, Control B. I'm going to go home and I'm going to select the color red, Control I to italicize it, make it a little bit smaller, and I think it's good to go. To make it look more professional, I'm going to get rid of my grid lines by hitting Alt W V G, or by simply going to View and then unclicking the check mark for grid lines. It also feels like that this form does not stand out from the rest of the content in my worksheet. So to fix this, I'm going to select my form and I'm going to create an outside border. I'm going to move my logo to right over here, enlarge it a little bit, and these are all aesthetic, so feel free to do whatever you want. I made column B a little wider and I moved the option to account for the adjustment. Alright, looking good. One last thing I'm going to do is give the entire sheet a color different than the one that the form has. To do this, I can either select all the remainder of the cells by hitting Ctrl, Shift and arrow and then down and then color, but there must be an easier way, right? And there actually is. I'm going to hit Ctrl A outside in order to select the entire sheet, and then I'm going to hit Ctrl and just select the form. What this does is that it deselects everything in this box, but keeping everything else selected. And I'm going to color it in gray. So now everything is in gray except for my form. Part 1 is done, and now we want to create a sheet that lists the entries. So I'm going to select Create. I've got sheet 2 right over here. I'm going to rename it Entries, and I'm going to go back to my original sheet and rename it Form. So in the Entries worksheet, what I basically want is everything in the form to populate in different cells. So I want the first, last, title, and everything to populate right over here. I'm going to go to my Form worksheet and I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to select Paste right over here along with these, and I'm going to select Paste. I'm just going to delete this, and now for the first name I want to link it for the box where the first name is going to populate, and hit Enter. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the remainder of the cells. So hit Enter equals Enter. For the entry time, it's going to be a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to get back to this in a minute. And for the drink, it's going to be just to enter the diet restriction, enter. For the staff ID, department ID, and the gender. Alright, so for this, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Format Control. So if it's unchecked, that's fine, but if it's checked, I want it to link to the cell that is right over here, and I'm going to hit OK. Now it'll give me a 1, and notice that if I select evening, it's going to give me a 2. Now the idea here is that by linking this, it's going to give me 1 or 2, and right over here I can enter an if statement where if this is equals to 1, then you can say morning, morning. Otherwise, it's going to say evening. And I'm going to close my brackets and hit enter. So right now it's evening. If I click on morning, it's going to give me morning. Don't worry about how all of this looks over here because we are just about to change it. I'm going to select my headers. I'm going to hit Ctrl Shift and the down arrow over here, and I'm going to copy. And then I'm going to go to entries, and I want to paste here, but most importantly, I want to paste using the transpose function. So first of all, I only want to paste values, and I want to transpose my data so that it is lined up horizontally, and I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit Ctrl A and then Alt-8-O-I to autofit my column width, and then I'm going to hit Ctrl Shift and the end arrow in order to give them the color green, and I'm going to hit Ctrl B to bold my fonts. Now because I copied from the original form, I can see that I have a semicolon over here. How do I get rid of it? I'm going to use a substitute function. The old text is going to be in cell C2, and it's going to be semicolon, and I want to replace it with nothing, and I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to drag. I'm going to use the format painter to give this the exact same format. And now if I delete this row, I will get a reference error. So what I'm going to do is copy here again and paste as special values again, and then just delete the first two rows, putting green and bold again. And yes, I probably should have done this before formatting my text and the cell color. One last step I'm going to do here is add one more worksheet, and I'm going to call it row data. And in a few minutes, you will learn exactly why I'm doing this. I'm going to randomly fill in some data. So Jack, Gray, Mr., and it's going to be an evening. Yes for the meal, yes for the drink, no dietary restrictions, 20145, department is HR, and the gender is male. Now let's start recording our first macro. I'm going to go to the developer tab, and underneath code, I'm going to hit record macro. I'm going to call it automate, and I'm going to store it in my current workbook, and I'm going to hit OK. Excel started recording. I'm going to make my selection, and I'm going to hit Ctrl C to copy. I'm going to go to raw data, and I'm going to select A1, and then I'm going to go to home, and I'm going to paste special. I'm going to paste the as values, and I want to transpose my data. And then I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to hit Ctrl C and copy my data again. I'm going to go to my entries worksheet. I'm going to select the range C3 to L3. And now this is very important. I'm going to go home, insert copied cells, and I'm going to select shift cells down, and I'm going to hit OK. What this will allow me to do is that instead of replacing or just entering the data in this row, it is going to move the data down and add a record. Then I'm going to go back to my form worksheet, and I'm simply going to delete all the entries that I have done. Delete, delete, delete. I'm just selecting the cell and hitting delete. Once we have done that, we can go back to my developer tab and just hit stop recording. So far, so good. We just recorded the sequence of steps, but now we want to tell Excel how to exactly run it. For that, we need to create a button. So under developer tab again, I'm going to go to insert, and under form controls, I'm going to create a button. And for the button, I'm going to assign the macro that says automate, and I'm going to hit OK. In case the dialog box does not open, you can right click and assign the macro. So now, whenever we click on this button, it's going to automate everything we just recorded. But first, let us rename the button to, say, Submit. Now I'm going to create a record. To make sure that it works, I just randomly entered a record and I hit Submit. Now I'm going to go to my entries worksheet to make sure everything looks good. It does. I have my first entry and then I have my next entry. Now everything is looking good except for my form. I need to make sure that my users do not see all of this. So first of all, I'm going to use the Format Painter to make sure that it is all the same font and the same background. And then I'm going to hit Ctrl A to select my current range, and I'm going to make sure that I choose a font color that matches with the background. Now nobody will ever suspect that there's anything over here. Now one last step would be to protect this Excel worksheet. Why? Because somebody might come in and just change the entries into hello, hi, and I don't want this. All of a sudden my form is not going to make sense anymore and it's going to mess up my data. To solve this, I need to lock the cells that cannot be edited and only allow entry in certain cells. I'm going to use my control button to select all the cells that I want users to be able to input data into. And I'm going to go to Home, and underneath Formatting, I am going to choose Lock Cells. And then I'm going to say Protect My Sheet. And then I'm going to insert a password. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to insert the password again, and I'm going to hit OK. Now if I try to enter something in the first name, it's going to work. However, if I try to change the first name here, it's going to give me the error. The cell or chart you're trying to change is on a protected sheet. To make a change, protect the sheet. You might be requested to enter a password. In case you're confused about how locking and unlocking cells works, well, you are in the right spot. By default, all cells in Excel are already set to be locked, and that is why when we selected cells and formatting, the lock was already there, so what we did was selected again to unlock. Now, that setting does not do anything until you go and protect the sheet. So here's how it really works. All cells are locked by default, but they are still editable because the sheet is not protected yet. So, if the cell is locked, after you protect the sheet, it cannot be edited. And what we did was just unlock a certain range and then keep everything as is, in other words, locked. Now, one thing to note that in one of the steps, my if function over here's font turned into white, so I need to turn it back into red. And for the entry time, I could not restrict this, so maybe it is better if it's a drop-down menu. But other than that, congratulations on building your form.